What's going on, you lot? I hope you're all well. Today, it's all about the cake. Now, I can't believe that I've been making videos this long and I haven't yet made chocolate cake because it is one of my top 3 favourite breakfasts. The whole idea for this cake is not for it to be the easiest cake in the world to make, but for it to be super rich, nicely balanced, and not sickly sweet. And we're going to achieve that by adding things like buttermilk, sour cream, salt to help balance out the sweetness from that chocolate and sugar. I've tried to keep this cake as process-free as possible. That way, it's pretty much foolproof. There's no creaming, there's no folding, there's no whipping egg whites necessary. It's pretty much a mix and go. Right, that's enough cake chat. Let's go to the table and get on with it. Here we are at the table, and the first thing we're going to tackle is the sponge. This chocolate sponge recipe couldn't be simpler, as it's just an all-in-one melt and mix recipe. If you can work a whisk, you can't mess this up. So in a large saucepan, we're going to add 300 grams of caster sugar, 110 grams of dark brown sugar, 115 grams of light brown sugar, 60 grams of cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of coffee powder, 150 grams of butter, 75 grams of vegetable oil, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, and then finish that all off with 325 ml of water. Then place that over a medium heat and allow everything to melt, stirring occasionally. While that's all going on, we can sort out our dry ingredients for the sponge. So into a large bowl or a bowl of a standing mixer, add 375 grams of flour, 1.5 teaspoons of bicarbonate of soda, and 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Alright, back to the pan, and we want to keep stirring until everything is melted and it's nice and smooth. So we want all that butter to be gone, all the sugar to be dissolved, and no little lumps of cocoa floating around. Once it's smooth, bring the whole lot to the boil and simmer it for about a minute. This will allow your cocoa to bloom, giving us a thicker, more intense chocolatey syrup to add to our sponge mix, which is going to result in the most delicious, rich chocolate sponge, and it's barely any extra work. So make sure you see those bubbles. Once it's had a minute or so, remove the syrup from the heat and leave it to cool for a few minutes while we sort out the last few things. Okay, at this stage, it's really important that you are preheating your oven to 180 degrees Celsius and that you have grease and baseline 3 8-inch round cake tins with silicone paper. Get this done before you mix your cake because we are using a chemical raising agent here in the form of bicarbonate soda, and we want to be completely ready to get the most out of it. Get the dry ingredients set up with the whisk attachment and gradually pour in your chocolatey syrup, whisking constantly until you have a thick, smooth and luxurious looking cake batter. Then add 180 grams of buttermilk to the batter, mixing really well to incorporate it, and then finally add 3 eggs one by one, whisking well between each addition. This should make that batter look a little lighter, but still hella silky. Divide the batter between your line tins and then into your preheated oven for about 25-30 minutes until cooked through and firm to the touch. You can also check them with a skewer or cocktail stick, and if it comes out clean, you're pretty much good to go. I always forget to film this bit, and I mean, you know what a cocktail stick looks like, don't you? Once cooked, remove from the oven and leave to cool for 5 minutes on a wire rack, just like I'm doing in this very poorly framed shot. Jesus. Once you've given them a few minutes and they're cool enough to handle, carefully remove them from your tins. You may need to go around the outside like this, which is fine, just don't gouge a massive hole in the side of them when you do. Then turn them out and leave them upside down on a wire rack to cool completely. Now let's get on to the good stuff, the chocolate icing. I can't be bothered with all the whisking that's involved with butter icing. I hate it, so we're going to keep it really simple. First, the chocolate. I've got a little mix of semi-sweet chocolates here between 54% and 60%, purely because that's what was in the cupboard. You can go a higher percentage if you like, but I find the slightly sweeter dark chocolate tastes better for this icing. Place the chocolate into a bowl and over a pan of simmering water and stir until completely melted and smooth. I mean, is there anything better to look at than melted chocolate? While your chocolate's melting, mix together 2 tablespoons of strong coffee and sour cream in a separate bowl. Then remove the melted chocolate from the heat and add the sour cream. Mix everything together nice and quickly to produce this incredibly thick, rich ganache that's ready for icing our cake. See, it is stupid simple for something that looks this good. Right, now to assemble. I don't have a fancy cake turny thing, and I didn't fancy dropping 20 quid to get one, so I've got a little makeshift icing station right here. Place one of your sponges flat side up and cover the top with a decent amount of your ganache. You can pipe it if you like, or you can spread it with a spatula, either way is fine, and then top it with your second sponge. Now, I can't be bothered to trim sponges. I think it's a complete waste of time and a waste of sponge, especially for people just making cakes at home. If you want it to be super level, then feel free, go right ahead, but I don't mind a little lean to my cake, which you'll probably see later on. Repeat this layering with the remaining sponges and then fill in any gaps between the sponges by adding a little bit more icing in between the layers. Then use the remaining ganache to coat the cake all over. Now, it might surprise you to hear that despite winning the cake decorating award while at culinary school many years ago, I am not the best cake decorator. I know it's hard to believe from what you're seeing right here. I just don't think I have the patience for making a cake look perfect. I'm definitely of the mindset of who cares, we're going to eat it in a minute anyway. So I like to hide my cake decorating inadequacies with unnecessary fluff. Once the cake is coated, I pipe the remaining ganache on top in a pleasing fashion to draw your eye away from the edges. Oh, you still think they look abysmal? Well, how about some chocolate sprinkles on the side? Aha! Oh, okay, well, it seems like I don't have enough sprinkles for the whole cake, so we'll probably just hide the bottom a bit. Still not impressed? Well, how about I blind you with some dazzling golden stars? No? Still not okay? Well, that's everything I've got in the cupboard, so it's just going to have to do. What I'm trying to say is it doesn't really matter if you're the best cake decorator in the world or not. Just give this your best shot and you'll probably end up with something that still looks pretty decent when all is said and done. Now all that's left to do is leave that ganache to firm up for an hour if you can bear it, and then cut yourself off a totally inappropriate sized wedge. And I'm sorry, I just can't take it anymore. I'm going in. And there you have it, a ridiculously excessive cake that is stupid simple to make. It ticks all the boxes, a sponge that comes out soft and moist without having to spread any syrup on or anything like that, and a ganache icing that isn't too sweet or sickly, thanks in large part to that sour cream. Obviously, if you weren't looking for a triple decker, you can cut this recipe down by a third and enjoy this cake in a far more reasonable way. And as always, you can find the full recipe in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this recipe and you want to see more like it, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and go and check out more of my stuff. Hit me up on Instagram. I love to see what you guys are getting up to. Like, subscribe, comment, and all that other algorithm bullshit. I will see you in the next one.